Welcome to Hire, Lead, and Chill.
Tuesday it is indeed. 4 o'clock Eastern? No, it's not. Don't be crazy now. It's 3 p.m. We're a little bit early because I'm such a genius in thinking that sometime in March, my daughter would play a softball game in Northeast Ohio. And so I changed the time to an hour earlier. She's got a 4:30 game with tons of snow on the ground. So the team's at the library doing a little team building instead of baseball playing today. Probably should have known we could have gone at 4 p.m., but you never know. In Northeast Ohio, we had a couple 70-degree days already, so just not so now. We had a 70-degree day. 2 days later, we had 8 inches of snow, and then 2 days later, we had a 68-degree day. So it happens to be cold and miserable and not playable, but it's cool. We're still on at 3 p.m. I got a really nice guest on today, really first-class professional, and we'll have a lot of fun with Jeannie here in a minute. Just want to talk a little bit recruiting. Right now, we're seeing application flow starting to flow in and loosen up a little bit. The cost of boosting and sponsoring has kind of gone down a little bit. It's no longer, rob the bank to hurry up and get some people because nobody's applying for jobs. That's not the way it is right now, at least from what we're seeing. And we've got some things that we're doing on Facebook that has been working phenomenally well too. I'll talk about that on a different show, though, in a different time and place. The labor market's starting to loosen up. We are getting up just about 4% unemployment. And, that's about 96% of the people working. But when we've been around 3.4, 3.5, 3.6% for, post-COVID, it's, as you all know, it's been pretty tough scrapping along and recruiting and getting the application flow and screening and getting everybody through and interviewed and hired. It's loosening up. I always say once you get close to 4% or right about 4%, it's sort of back to normal, if you will. And so the thing with it now is we've got a few of our clients that don't come back to us during the winter, especially exterior cleaning folks, and they'll want to start booming and recruiting and stuff for their spring buildup. And a couple of our past employees have been with us for a number of years. Hey, I'm getting application flow on my own. We're all set. And, we're all for that. 3 of them have come back to me going, I've got too many. I can't get through them all. I need help now on the other end of this. It used to be, okay, applications, there's a few. And now, if you get 100 applications on Indeed, how are you going to know which 1 or 2 of those is the right one to probably interview and hire? And speed is everything. We've got automation. We've got the workflows. We've got our data-driven questions and our proprietary scoring system. All of that gets done in a couple minutes as far as somebody sees your job, they click on it, they immediately go to a video of the owner saying how wonderful this is to work here and why you're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work for us. They take about 3 to 5 minutes to fill out the online application, which is a scoring system that we score to see if they don't know that though, right? So by the time you hit submit, about 5 minutes goes by and we know whether or not we want to interview you. It's that quick. If you don't have that type of system, whether that's ours or Woot Recruit or whoever it is, if you don't have that quick system to get them to the end of the funnel and to that interview table, they're going to be clicking about 5, 6, 7 other jobs and getting to those interview tables before you if you're not putting the system together. So that's the boring stuff. Let's get back to some really cool things. Jeannie Henderson's on with us. How you doing, Jeannie?
Hey, Shawn. I am awesome and really excited to be here with you today. I'm super pumped up with your intro there. That was awesome. That was so good. I'm like, let's watch that again. That was fun.
Thank you. It's none of it is me. It's all my VA, and she's phenomenal. And anybody that is looking for anything like that, you can message me, and I'll be happy to set you up with who we use. She's phenomenal. If you have any comments, make sure you do the StreamYard thing because I have no idea who's making comments if you're not doing that. We usually get a handful of people that might watch it live and then maybe around 1,500 people over the next 2 to 3 days. So good stuff here. Jeannie, why don't you introduce yourself for the few people that might not know you, and then we'll see where we end up.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Shawn, and thanks for having me on your awesome podcast. I'm really excited to be here again. And so my name is Jeannie Henderson. I am the CEO of Jeannie Cleaning in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is right here, if you're from Michigan. And I also am a master coach in the Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, and have the honor of working with Debbie Sardone and many amazing coaches in that program. I'm also the chair of the ISSA Residential Cleaning Council. So I get to work with many amazing cleaning business owner volunteers in that program, helping to up-level our entire industry and advocate for our industry with ISSA. So I've been in the cleaning business for 8 years, but I've been an entrepreneur since I married my husband at 21. So it was a really long time ago. So we won't say how many years ago that was, but let's just say I was in the restaurant industry for over 25 years before doing this. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I've built in my lifetime, I've built 30 restaurant teams, and now I love building my team inside of my business and helping other business owners do that, just like you do.
Yep. I was trying to think about this because I know obviously several of the coaches, CBF coaches with Debbie Sardone's consulting. Were you the first coach?
I was, yes. Okay, I still am, and I always will be.
That's true. I'll always be my wife's first husband. That's awesome.
Yes. No, I became the first CBF coach in 2020. We announced my coach position during CBF Live of 2020 when the whole world was shutting down for the pandemic.
That's right.
So I got my coaching chops helping people get through the pandemic.
Man, was that something. I was there, and it was. You were, we don't like talking about COVID stories anymore, but we can kind of look back at it now and tell cool ones like this.
Right.
And it was. Dan and I were there, Platt and I were there, and it was, normal, go ahead, everything's as usual. And then I remember going out to lunch with him, and I can't remember which day. And it was the first time I heard the word COVID. And it was not only did you hear the word COVID and not really know what it meant, but we were watching television and it was like interruption news. The PGA golf and the NBA were not going to continue. And I'm just going, what are they talking about? What is going on? I'm thinking 9/11 stuff. You had no idea. And we've all been there, right? We were all there. But imagine being at a conference with 400 people.
Yeah.
Right.
And wondering if we're going to get home.
Yeah. No, the airports are going down. And we have no idea. And you guys, I remember it just the amount of unknown and how you guys got behind closed doors and handled it was just phenomenal. I don't know of how you could have handled that any better, and calming people down. And you used that, excuse me, you used the experience of a horrible situation. And it was like, are we going to fold or are we going to plow through this? And that was pretty much what you guys did. And it was just super inspiring. I've never had the experience at any convention like that. I don't know that I want to have one, but I mean,
let's pass on that. But that's where we really found out what cleaning business owners are made of. And, right. We definitely were charging into that storm. And since then, there's a whole story behind that. But we all came together and really helped each other get through that. And that's the beautiful thing about Cleaning Business Fundamentals. This is not just an educational program. It is actually a really strong, tight-knit community that supports each other. Going through the pandemic, Debbie was live pretty much every day online, helping business owners get through the pandemic, myself included. And the first course that I put together was a training program helping people who were shut down to reopen, because I went through that experience. And so we helped several other business owners reopen successfully. And, but that's the great thing about connection. And I think I can't encourage people enough to find a mentor and to find a community. If you really want to grow your business, That's where strength lies, is in having that educational community behind you and people you can always lean on. I mean, I came up with a problem the other day, and the first person I thought of was, I'm going to write to Shawn. And that I met you at CBF, so
That's right.
I've met so many people who've helped me be able to grow and build, my business that's approaching, we're well over 7 figures. We're pushing past the $2 million mark, and, the sky's the limit for us. And I never would have been able to achieve that without the support of what I've learned in CBF and the community of CBF.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think I've been to every one, but maybe one or two, maybe. I don't know if I was at the very first one, but I wasn't at last year's because I was stuck in Cleveland Hopkins Airport for about 15 hours and never was able to leave Cleveland Airport. So I was really
kind of remember that. Yeah.
Oh, I was so bummed out. And
we had quite a few. There was big storms going on that week. Weren't there?
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible. And then, so I've got my tickets booked for CBF Live this year in a couple weeks away. And I get American Airlines email yesterday that they're already monkeying around with my flight. It's 2 weeks out. And I tried to get an early one because that's usually the least risky one of getting, plane delays and things like that. I'm just going, you're starting with me already? And I told my wife, and I talked to Platt about it earlier today. I said, you're not going to believe they're messing with my ticket already. And I said, I will rent a car and I will drive to Dallas if I have to. I'm going to be there come hell or high water because I was dying to be there last year.
You will be there, yeah.
Oh, man, I'll be there.
And this is going to be the biggest one ever.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
You're going to have I hundreds of cleaning business owners from all over the U.S. and internationally coming together to learn and grow. It is going to be a powerful 3 days.
I think Diana said it's a record over 500 or thereabouts. I mean, that's just ridiculous. We go to a bunch of conventions as vendors and learning and speaking and things like that. And the couple that we typically go to, attendance has been down. There's been, the COVID money kind of went away a little bit. We all got a bunch of COVID money that dried up. The economy is a little bit different. I think people are a little bit tighter on money as far as business, inflation, and all those things we know about. Not you guys, man. Not CBF. You're through the roof, still going through the roof and breaking through again on things, man.
Well, and I think it's an indicator, too, of the residential cleaning industry. When you look at home services, the residential cleaning industry is just an infant in comparison to how long these other industries have been commonplace in people's homes. I remember when I was a kid, that, it was shameful if you had someone else mow your lawn or clean your house. Actually, I never knew anyone who had someone clean their house. But it was really actually shameful. You should be embarrassed. You wouldn't want anyone to know that. And now if you drive, I don't know, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, you start to drive through neighborhoods and then there's lawn mowing carts everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
A lawn mowing truck will pull in, 4 lawnmowers go off and mow 4 different lawns, right? And they're just, and that industry just kicked off all the others. And it became to the point where homeowners don't own a lawnmower anymore. Because somebody's going to mow that lawn, right? They're not mowing it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in our industry now. It's taken the cleaning industry many more years to become, that commonplace. But our growth rate is skyrocketing. The value of cleaning, the pandemic, as much as it was awful and awful and awful, for the cleaning industry, it woke people up to the importance of cleaning for health.
Yes.
And that we have to keep our spaces clean if we want to keep our bodies healthy. And so people care about cleaning in a completely different way than they ever did before. And people are home more. So they're looking at their space a lot more where they want it clean. But what we're seeing is, like in the lawn mowing industry where homeowners don't have lawnmowers anymore, we're seeing homeowners don't have vacuums.
Yes.
They don't have mops. Right? They don't
Did you
own
think
them.
that would ever come? Did you ever think that would come around, something like that? It's just amazing.
It is. I love it though. I love
I
it.
know.
I'm super
You know,
happy about it. But I think that is why we're seeing so much growth in our residential cleaning events
yeah,
and so much
that's
excitement
true.
around that. So, I
That's true.
really want to encourage people, if they are watching today, like, you need to be there with Shawn and with me and all of the amazing residential cleaning business owners, all of the CBF coaches. We have several amazing guest speakers coming in to present, and a lot of amazing vendors along with you, Shawn. And these are vendors that we know are amazing and take really good care of cleaning business owners. We make sure of that. It's not just anyone is allowed to come to CBF Live. You're going to meet the best of the best vendors, and that's why you're going to be there.
Thank you. And that, I remember when there were only 4 or 5 vendors there, so it was not. And Debbie made that purposely. Like, this is all I want, or 4 or 5 vendors. We were one of them, Dan and I, and now it's blossomed into more because the industry's grown so much, and there's all kinds of things going on now. But there's still people that I see at all kinds of other events that I go to that are not at CBF for a reason. And it's just what you outlined and laid out. Very quickly, one of the things about CBF, and again, I can compare it to so many different associations and things we go to, is that there is just the proof is in the pudding, because, as I always say, it's those green jackets that I see on the stage. And, for those of you that don't know about it, I'll ask Jeannie in a second to explain a little bit more about the green jackets. But that's the proof. I mean, you don't get up on that stage, you don't get a green jacket. And there used to be 5, 6 green jackets. There's like 30 or 40 green jackets. And I hear another 15 or 16 more. And so when you see that up there, it's just, you can't argue about the execution on what the entire goal is for CBF, and that is to get people mop-free and grow a business and get some freedom out of it, and one day get up on that stage. Can you let the audience know about that green jacket? And I think there's even more. You got like the rainbow colors coming out now. You got so much going on.
Yes. Yeah. So the green jacket ceremony started 4 or 5 years ago. Must have been 5. I've been in the program for 7, but I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. Must have been 5. And it's like the green jacket ceremony for the Masters golf tournament, right?
Love it.
And now there's only one green jacket every year at the Masters, but at our Cleaning Business Fundamentals CBF Live event every year, we recognize those people who have participated in Cleaning Business Fundamentals and grown their business to $1 million or more. And we have helped more residential cleaning business owners achieve that goal of becoming $1 million business than any other education program out there in the cleaning industry. No one else can claim the number of millionaires. We call them mop-free millionaires, because the first thing you do is put down the mop, right, when you want to grow your business. So, I achieved my jacket in 2021, which was one of the best days ever. And back then, I think there were like 12 of us on stage. And now, there's like 40 plus people. And we'd have to keep getting a bigger and bigger stage every year to accommodate all of the people wearing their green jackets. So I've been talking with my green jacket friends, and we're already planning what we're going to wear and all that stuff. It's a big day for all of us, because now those of us who have green jackets get to be there and celebrate with the new people who are receiving them this year. We did add another color. We have a gold jacket for people who reach the $2 million mark. We have a few of those. I am gunning for that. I was hoping to have it this year, but you know what? Lots of good things happened in this past year, just not that. So I'm going to get mine next year for sure. I told my team, if I don't have a gold jacket next year, I don't know.
when you're in
No,
ISSA, when you're coaching ISSA, you've got a family, you've got, you're putting together a bunch of things we've already talked about behind the scenes. And yeah, it's kind of hard to really, really focus. And it's probably not it's a goal, but it's not you're not going anywhere if you don't get there,
Right.
It's just,
I
but
still
you know
have
what,
an amazing.
come on, you've got 40 people up there, okay, ish. So that's $40 million plus a couple golds. That's another $5-6 million. But then I got to thinking, okay, I got to thinking about this. I'm thinking, man, that's like $40-50 million worth of revenue produced by going to CBF Live and becoming a CBF member and getting involved in the coaching program. But I'm going, whoa, that's not even close, because most of those, maybe not most, more than half, I would bet, or thereabouts, have the freedom to do other businesses and do other things and start other revenue generating businesses. So if I did the math, I bet there's probably closer to $100 million of revenue up there because of the freedom that CBF is provided in training and teaching. I'm sorry about that. People that how to get out of the business. So get rid of your mop, grow the business, get out of the business, let somebody else run it for you, and you're on to other things. So the freedom and the amount of growth that you go through in this, and I know dozens and dozens of CBF members, and I can tell you and testify that this is the real deal, and it is by far, out of dozens of different places that we go to present in associations and conferences, the most well-rounded, the most professional, and the most proof that this works.
Yeah, it does. There's absolutely no doubt. When I started my little cleaning business back in 2015, I did not aspire to have $1 million cleaning business in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I had $1 million restaurants before, but I just didn't really think that we would grow that big. And once I had the right systems in place, the proven strategies that others have used before me, once I had those in place, my business just became this machine of, producing great results over and over and over again. And my business is self-running. I'm sitting in my home right now. I do not have a desk in my office. I actually, right before this call, I was on the phone with our amazing COO, Katie, who is a great leader for our team. She does an outstanding job. She's a big thinker too. And she's amazing. She's running our business and doing a great job. And, so it frees us up. Like you said, so many of us are expanding into other areas, and I am too. And it just opens up completely different opportunities. So for those of you who are out there listening to us, I'm going to extend you a personal invitation to join me and join Shawn at CBF Live. There's still time to sign up. If you're close enough to drive, there's absolutely no reason for you to not be there.
Right.
But at the same time, understand that this investment in you as a leader, in you as a business owner, is going to change your life. This is one weekend that can change your life forever, the life of your family, the life of every employee who works for you and their families. It has ripple effects that I just never could have imagined before. I had two recent employee situations where an employee left our company after a period of time to pursue a dream, but they never would have pursued that dream if they hadn't gained the professionalism and confidence that they did while they were working with us. And as they were leaving, both of these employees thanked me personally and our team for the impact that working at Jeannie Cleaning had on their lives. One went off to become an artist, and another one is out moving into the healthcare field. And wow. I'm so happy for them. But it's because of CBF that I was able to have that kind of impact in their lives. And I love money, don't get me wrong, but I'm all about impact. That's really what drives me. And I just really feel like God put us here for a reason, and God put me here to speak into the lives of other people. And my business is my vehicle. It's my ability to touch the lives of other people. And CBF gave me so much more ability to do that in a much more positive and easier way. I like the whole term bigger, easier. And that's what CBF does. It creates a bigger, helps you create a bigger, easier business. So everybody who's out there, everybody who's listening, I hope to see you at CBF Live. If you have questions, reach out to me personally. You can message me right here on Facebook. And I would love to sit down with you and talk with you about your business. I gave Shawn a link that he's going to share today that will get you $100 off your ticket. And we still have a discounted price on the website right now. So it's going to take $100 off that discounted price. And the event has expanded so much that we had to move to a hotel next door to get more rooms, not move, but like get more rooms at another hotel next door, because that's how many people want to be there. And you should be there too. There's a seat with your name on it sitting right next to me, hopefully.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's next
amazing.
to at those events, isn't it, Shawn? Like you got to sit next to the right people.
That's right. And I was talking with Debbie, and she had mentioned that there's something really special this year about anybody that's gone for the first time. And that you'll get $100 off if you've never been there before and you're not a CBF member already. Right. Jeannie, we're going to post that here shortly. But there's something Debbie was mentioning about the first time person, like that they won't be alone. There'll be people there that will take care of them. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like if it is your first time going?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what Debbie was talking about. Because she's working on some other stuff. We're all like, we all have our kind of like jobs that we're working on behind the scenes. But we do make sure that people get connected once they get there. There are all kinds of opportunities to get to know other people. So you won't be alone. You're going to be in a room full of friends. The moment you get there, you will be in the company of 500 friends. And the one thing about the cleaning industry, and you may have experienced this as an entrepreneur too, it's entrepreneurialism as well. It can be very lonely. And usually your friends and family think you're absolutely nuts, right? Like, why would you give up a cushy job with, your 401k and everything when you could, and now you're doing this crazy cleaning thing. And I went to clean toilets. They thought I was really nuts. And nobody understood. I had nobody to talk to. And so when I started to struggle in my business, I was so ashamed and embarrassed. I was about ready to quit when I found Debbie Sardone and CBF. And I walked into that room. I mean, I just got goosebumps remembering like the feeling of, oh my gosh, all of these people know. I mean, Debbie knows. Debbie cleaned toilets just like I did. I was like, I just found all these people who understand me. All of them are going through the same thing I am. Some of them are a few steps ahead, which those are the really great people to know. But then there's also people right alongside me that we can be accountability partners for each other. And I mean, I got to $1 million because I stood there with my friends, Molly Moran and Kevin Smith, and we wrote on this big piece of paper on the wall that we were going to be $1 million business owners. I made other friends and we held each other accountable. Molly held me accountable. Let's put it that way.
Right. I'm sure of that.
And, so don't go it alone. There's absolutely no reason to. And there's no competition in that room. I actually, in my community, have 2 current CBF members and 1 past CBF member right in little old Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I bet.
And it's not a problem. And my business is still growing like crazy. We're all different. There's plenty of business out there for everyone.
Yeah, and only the top people, the top businesses that know the things that you guys know and teach the things that you teach, because it is on a level that's just out of this world. And we've got several customers that are out in Florida, and Michelle Kruger and the rest of the gang down there are always meeting each other, and they're like they're sort of competition, but they are meeting, trying to make each other better, and they talk about their experiences. I don't know why that keeps going off. Stop.
Saying, Jeannie, stop talking.
Okay. Tell Jeannie. No. And it's able to identify, and there's people in there that are still cleaning. There's people that are $1 million, $2 million companies. So you'll be able to identify wherever you're at. And then, you always have these sort of Dan Platter calls them purgatories, $250,000. Great. Okay. Got there pretty quick, but man, I've been there for 2 years now. I don't know how to bust over that. And then, maybe it's 700,000. And then, that's another one that's sort of that purgatory. How do I get out? I got to start hiring people in the office now, because I can't do that by myself. How do you do these things, and how do you get out of these things? And, the way that you understand on how to do that is through things that you'll be taught at CBF, and the people that have been there and have experienced that purgatory. Imagine being able to, on stage, listen to somebody on stage, to meet somebody personally that is more than willing to sit down with you and explain how they busted through $250,000, $500,000, wherever you're at out there, how they became mop-free for the first time. And we play along with that whole group as well in the recruiting end. I've got people that are hiring their first employee all the way up to franchises and everything in between. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeannie, but the CBF coaches kind of have some specialties and some things that are you mainly focused on newer businesses, or do you have or just what's your sort of niche in the CBF coaching arena?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Well, and at CBF Live and inside of Cleaning Business Fundamentals, there are people of all different levels. And we do help people get through those plateaus. We help people break through them. That's a big part of the program. Each of our coaches are all well-versed in every aspect of running a business. However, we do have specialties. We have things that are near and dear to our heart. I have a special place in my heart for startups, people who are new to the industry, whether they are at zero or if they are hiring their first people. They're going from, being a solo cleaner to hiring their first employees, or they're, want to expand and hire their first office person. All of those firsts, I love to be there with people at that moment and help them get over those thresholds. And each one of them is a challenge. And so I love that part of it. I think it comes from my years in the restaurant industry. We opened 30 restaurants together, my husband and I. So I think I got a little addicted to grand openings. And it's a big rush. And so I love helping people through that process. So I am kind of known as the startup coach, but then also I am the culture coach. I love team culture. I know that's something near and dear to your heart as well. So hopefully we can partner on some things in the future. But I've always wanted to help people build a great culture, because I believe as business owners, we are called to deliver an outstanding workplace experience, and that it's our responsibility to make those hours that people spend working with us fulfilling, rewarding, worthwhile, and we can. And when we do that, the dividends are amazing. Not only does it feel good, it really helps your business grow. It makes good business sense to be a great leader. Absolutely. And so I love to help people learn their leadership skills and how to build their culture. And so I'm going to be
hire, lead, and chill. That's exactly what we're all about.
Right. That's right. Hire, lead, and chill. And so at CBF Live, I'm going to be giving a sneak peek of a new program that I'm launching this year called Culture Magic, following my magical Jeannie theme. And
perfect.
And my Culture Magic program, it's a 6-point strategy to help business owners learn how to be great leaders, how to build structure in their business that leaves space for culture to grow. And then like the 3 main pillars of engagement, which are belonging, purpose, and accomplishment. And so working with business owners, helping them develop systems around culture. Yep. Every business has a culture. Culture is going to happen whether you try to do anything with it or not. But the type of culture you have is your choice. Absolutely. And a lot of people don't believe that. They don't realize that how much control they have. But when you become, a leader, a true leader to your team, you can start to mold the culture in your business and create the culture that you dream of. And then it really makes business a joy. Yeah, I literally had my house cleaned yesterday. It was so wonderful. And usually we only have 1 team member come, but it was like end of the day. So 2 team members came and I was chatting with them. And one of our team members, his name is Jazz. He's like, "Hey, you're going bowling Thursday, right?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'm going bowling. Are you going bowling?" And then Chastity, the other one, she says, "Well, you had me at Free Wings. I'm going to be there." And, but it's like, what a joy. I mean, they literally want to hang out with me. It's like, they want to hang out with this old girl, So it's like, awesome. But it's because we really have a passion for each other. They know I care for them. And we always have fun together.
That's awesome. There's so many things that you just said that I want to try to unpack a couple things.
Sorry, I get going and I just like blah, 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 blah.
I know. I only interrupt when I need to, and I don't need to. I mean, everything you said has a dash of wisdom, and of course, with the experience that you have, along with being a part of the CBF tribe. I think that culture is one of those things that can get away from you very quickly. And when one person or 2 people that you hire pull and tug on that culture and you don't take care of it right away, and I'll even go as far as to say, even before you hire somebody, you need to make sure they're going to match your culture. And we've got all kinds of things we do for that too. But that's the key to retaining a good employee, is the culture. And most business owners I talk to don't have a super good handle on their culture. And I think it's a tricky thing sometimes, in that we try to say, what do we want our culture to be, and you have to put some thought to this because it's that important. But I think I often wonder, should your culture be something that you aspire your business to be like in 5 or 10 years? Or should it be something where this is just who I am and this is my personality? It's my business. I want it to be like this. Mm-hmm. I think you hit it over the fence, Jeannie, when you alluded to the word, you mentioned growing your culture and nurturing that culture. What are your thoughts about that, as far as, how do I know what I want my culture to be? Or I know you go into depth in this, but can you just sort of touch on it a little bit?
Well, I think there is one really easy way to decide what you want your culture to be. And sometimes it isn't who you are, right? But who embodies your culture is your dream employee, your ideal employee. That person embodies your culture. And if you don't have an employee yet, pick another human being who embodies the personality that you want your business to have. And sometimes, the leader embodies that culture. And I think in my business, I am, my ideal employee kind of matches my belief system to some degree
Yeah.
on how we treat other human beings. And so I tend to attract people like that because that's what I'm putting out there in the world. You know, when you put your culture out there, you attract the people you want and you actually repel the people who don't fit.
Right,
And that's what a
right,
magnet does, right? A magnet either attracts or it repels. A lot of people
right.
forget that magnets repel, but they do.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what your culture will do. It will act just like a magnet, attracting and repelling. And the whole goal of culture magic is to help people attract and keep the people who match their culture, to keep the absolute best. Because we have trouble in both areas. The attraction piece, you were talking about the unemployment rate and all of that, you know, that's a struggle we've had. But then the keeping part, the way people think about work now is so completely different. One of my, I would say, you know, I don't have favorite children, but I do have a favorite strategy when it comes to culture. You know, you have to have all three of these pillars to make it work. But the first one is belonging.
Yeah.
If there is no sense of belonging in your business, it won't be a sticky job. People won't stick. People will actually, if they have friends at work, if people have connection with other people at work and they feel good about that, they are way more likely to stay. As a matter of fact, I think they're 50% more likely to stay, and they'll turn down higher pay to stay at a company where they have relationships.
Right.
And I think in our industries where we're sending our people out and they're working on their own all day long, that's one of the biggest challenges. And that was one of the things that I really had a hard time figuring out when I went from the restaurant industry where my 20 workers would show up and work in the same space all day long to now my 20 workers show up and they go out into the world by themselves. And how do I create that sense of belonging? And so I have spent hours and years studying this and working on this and developing strategies around it so that my people know me even though they hardly ever see me.
Right.
And they know each other even though they hardly ever see each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There's some business owners that I connect with and do demos and talk and so on that I think may misunderstand what culture is supposed to be and who it's supposed to be for. I'll have small business owners that will have, this is my culture. And it basically is how to take care of their clients. And I'm like, that's not what culture really needs to be. That might be some core values. That might be your brand, those sort of your marketing strategies and things like that. Your culture has to do with the people that are working for you, the atmosphere and the feelings and the vibes and the belongingness and that sort of thing, and what is in it for them. And I always go back to this, the one sentence I think sums a lot of it up is why they're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work for you. I mean, that is huge. If you can say that sentence and you can talk to them as to why they will wake up every morning and love to come to work for you, you're onto something. You've got something happening. And I think the other thing that I find is that I'm a big believer in this. This is just me, not everybody. I'm sure there are phenomenal cultures that don't adhere to this, but I tend to believe that if I have a stranger come up to every one of my employees and ask them what the culture is, I want them almost word for word to be able to describe it and understand it because we've embraced it. We talked about it. We breathe it. We live it. We eat it. That's our culture because that's how important it is. Would you tell me I'm wrong? Because I'm often wrong on many things, and this may be one of them.
No, I'm so glad that you said that, though, because a lot of people do misunderstand what culture is and the difference between culture and strategy and culture and positioning and culture and core values. They're all different things. And culture is about the people inside your business first. I like to call it your first customer. So your team members are your first customer. You have to sell everything to them first. Because if they don't believe in it, they aren't going to be able to deliver it at the level that it needs to be delivered to your clients so that they believe in it. And, so it is so important that everything begins with our team, and then the goodness kind of just spreads out from there. So that is a big misunderstanding when I talk with people for the first time about culture. And there's so many differences of opinion about like how we educate people about culture. But I like to just really boil it down like what you were saying. It should not be complicated.
Right.
I don't think you need AI to write your culture statement.
Right. That's a great point. I think, it's so funny that you say that that's the first sale is not to your customers, but to your people, because you basically just reiterated and underscored something I say often, which is when you are interviewing somebody and when you hire somebody, that is the biggest sale of your life. And I say that all the time.
Yes.
It's not the client. And I say it, a client in our industry, residential home cleaning space, is probably worth $5,000-$6,000, maybe a little bit more a year, full time, every other week or weekly, dependent. That's good revenue, $6,000 from one person over a year. But your cleaning technician can bring in $60,000, $70,000 a year of revenue. You tell me which is a bigger sale, $6,000 a year or $60,000 a year. To your point,
I have techs bringing in $85,000, $90,000 a year, and I know people.
I've been out of the loop for a while. I've been out of the loop. Holy cow!
$120,000 a year.
That's awesome.
And yes, it is a big sale, and hiring is selling, and you got to have something good to sell, right?
That's right.
And one of the big mistakes that I made when I first started out was I had a big dream, and I've always had the same heart. And so I would always tell people, oh, you're going to love it here. It's going to be so great. And you're going to meet all these team members and we're going to have a great time and you're going to love what you do. But then they would show up and I wouldn't deliver that.
Yeah.
They would see a completely different me on Monday morning, completely frazzled, trying to juggle the schedule because 3 people didn't show up. And, it was just a complete total mess. And so I was selling, but I wasn't delivering.
Yeah. That's
and,
huge.
So we really have to make sure that the culture that we sell is the culture that actually exists in our business. It can't be a dream.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I started out. I thought, well, if I maybe I can speak it into being. It didn't actually happen.
I think every business owner probably does that,
Yeah.
And I always say too, and I said a little bit earlier was, I think out of all the systems you put together, and you mentioned it, Jeannie, it's like it's an intentional system. A culture is that you put together, and it's but it's also, I think, the quickest process or system that can get away from you. And when it does, it is, and the further you let it stray away from your culture, whether it's one bad hire and you're not addressing that bad hire, it only takes one person, one bad hire to really rip that culture apart. And if you don't address it immediately, it will take you forever to get that trust back from your employees, to feel that culture again and get that culture back. So it's not only coming up with it and making sure that you are meeting those expectations when you explain what your culture is to your employees, but also holding on to it as hard as you can and not letting it go. It can grow into good and better things, but don't let somebody rip it apart, because it's real hard to get it back.
Well, and some people can trick you through the interview process, as you know, right? And they jump through all the hoops just the right way. Yeah. And then they end up on your team and they come in here and they're like, this place is nice. I think I'll burn it down.
Right.
And we all are going to see that person. And what you said is so important. Don't hesitate. If you feel in your gut that something isn't right about what someone is doing or saying, have that meeting now. Do not put it off. Another thing that I teach about in leadership is difficult conversations shouldn't wait. We wait way too long to have difficult conversations. I had this happen in my business about 1.5 years ago. I had someone show up on my team and she was a broken little mess. I still to this day feel so sorry for her. But she came in and she wanted to make my business part of her broken little life.
Yep.
And went in and started to create a lot of negativity. And, you know, who's this crazy Jeannie person who's smiling all the time? She can't be that good.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And she didn't know who she was dealing with.
Love it.
This is not my first rodeo.
Right.
And I was on her so fast. And I called her on her phone while she was cleaning. She had never talked to me before in her life. But when I heard what she was up to and saying, I went after her right away because I am protecting everyone else on my team. And that's my vow to them.
That's right.
And that's what your team needs to see you do.
Yep.
They need to see you escort someone off the team who isn't, you know, part of the culture. And the reason that I knew about her is because the other people on the team were defending the culture.
It's awesome.
You know, it's kind of like how the elephants surround, you know, the injured one.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of thing. Like our team kind of came together and went, wait, this isn't right. We need to protect what we have here. Yeah. And so they brought it to my attention. They're like, I think you need to have a talk with her. And I did right away. And I gave her a week. And I found out that she had a very broken life. And I said, I'm sorry that you have a broken life, but you can't make this be broken too. You have a week. And she put in her notice the next day.
Yep. And there's always that time too. And this is really tough when somebody's been with you for 4 years, 5 years, and then all of a sudden they turn into this different human being. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe, you know, they're fighting with a spouse or with a significant other. Maybe they are doing drugs now. You know, whatever it is, they weren't that person. That's a tough one. For me, that was always the toughest one where I'm going, man, did this person help my business and perfect for the culture and just, you know, came to work and then they changed. Something happened to their life. And that's the one I see a lot of business owners holding on to and trying to, you know, she's been with me and she was loyal. If she's not that person anymore, I have and I've done this before. I had somebody that was with me for 5 years, outstanding employee, outstanding. Ended up dating somebody that was hooked on heroin, and guess who got hooked on heroin? And she absolutely changed. And it was killing me. It was killing me. And, you know, I was getting lied to and, you know, I've got mono and you know, all these crazy, and I'm like, sooner or later I'm going, I got to find out what's going on here. And so I found out and I said, you got to go. And if you want, I will drive you to a facility right now or tomorrow. I'll do it now to get you some help. I have no problem with that. She has been with me 5 years and she's going through hell right now because nobody wants to get hooked on drugs and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that's two different. That's how much though you have to protect your culture. She has no right to hurt other people from waking up every morning and loving to come to the job. She has no right interfering with that. But it doesn't mean I have to kick her to the curb if she's been somebody that's been with me for a long time and going through some trouble. But I can't let that affect my business. And I see that happen a lot where people are just holding on to that person that isn't the same person anymore.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things as entrepreneurs, because we get attached to people and it's okay. I mean, we're humans and we should care about people. However, we have to approach leadership of our teams just like a coach of a team. Yep. It's a team, not a family. Right? We can vote people off the island in our business.
That's right. That's right.
But you can't kick Uncle Tom out of the family just because he drinks too much and talks about politics on Thanksgiving.
Right. Yep. Perfect.
Although some people probably do, but generally, you can't kick people out of your family. It doesn't happen that way, but you do get to pick your team. And so it can be fighting words with some people, because some people are like, we have a family in our business. Well, if it's a family, you're going to have to fire a family member.
Yep.
And, so I always use the word team. I really feel like it just is more appropriate for my workplace. And it makes it easier when I have one of those situations where, somebody's not playing. Like, who's a famous athlete who recently got bumped off a team? I know you know somebody, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so many. But
right?
Well, they trade them on to somebody else, and that's fine too. Go ahead. I'd love my competition to take care of you. Go apply over there. That's fine, right?
Yeah, I call it releasing them back into the marketplace. Right? They're going to find another place that's going to accept them. Maybe they'll fix something in the meantime. But if they stay here and I keep tolerating it, I'm going to get more of that if that's what I tolerate.
Right. And part of it too is the recruiting. We always talk about, the ABCs, always be recruiting. Because when that person's with you for 2 years and maybe they just break an ankle, it's not drugs or something like that. You don't see, and it's so crazy. I know you've been through this where it never happens where it's one. It's always something happens in 2s or 3s, right? The 3s, it's why everything's going great. I'm done interviewing because I've got perfectly, and all of a sudden something happens. Somebody breaks an ankle, the other one got in a car accident, and the other one just stopped showing up for some reason. And it's always in 3s. And so, but the 2 things you can do is always be recruiting, always be interviewing, and culture helps keep them around for a long, long time. And I think those 2 things go hand in hand. And that's why you have to have a complete understanding of what your culture is. Make sure your employees know what the culture is. If you need any help with culture, and you're going to CBF, Jeannie's going to talk a little bit about that on stage. And make sure you reach out to Jeannie and talk about that culture and get that in line, because if you don't, you're never going to keep employees. You're going to keep churning. You're going to keep burning. And that is probably one of the number 1 reasons why you're not growing, because you don't grow with customers. You grow with employees. And you can have 1 million customers. And if you've only got 2 employees, I got news for you. Your revenue isn't going to go up by the 500 customers you have if you only have 2 employees. Your revenue is affected mostly by how many employees, really good employees you have, and you build upon that. And once you do that, that's the magic of growing. We all are entrepreneurs we all have a little bit of an ego, or we wouldn't be in business. And we all like to talk, we like to talk about sales and revenue and how many employees we have and how many customers, how many recurring customers and all those things. And those are fun things to talk about. We don't really get into business to go, I can't wait to see how many people don't show up to the interview this week. Man, is that exciting. There's things that we don't like about recruiting. But once you dial that in and you take the time to understand what culture and how important those 2 things are, you're going to want to put that in your job ad. How are you going to put the culture things in your job ad if you don't have your culture figured out? So those things go hand in hand. And everything we do with our clients, which one of the things we talk about with them, I talk on a demo. What's your culture? I want you to fill out a form and tell me what your core values and culture and all that is, so that I know what we should be putting in your job ad to do what Jeannie said. Repel the ones that don't like that culture and can't live into that culture and won't like that culture, and the ones that are going, oh my God, this is perfect for me. That's half the battle in finding really good employees. What else, Jeannie? Is there anything else? We're up on the hour, and I know you're busy and you got all kinds of things going on. ISSA, all that stuff. That's there. I think we're probably live on there. ISSA Residential, we love you, and Jeannie is, neck deep with doing things with ISSA. I think Beth Eldridge and I are doing a webinar in April sometime with us ISSA, which will be fun. Yeah.
Great.
Anything
Yeah.
else?
ISSA, we're heading to Washington, D.C. Right after CBF Live. So I'm bouncing right from CBF Live to Washington, D.C. for our clean advocacy event. So we're going to go to Washington and talk to our legislators about labor issues. So we'll be bringing back a lot of information. So we'll be sharing that in April. But yeah, if anyone has questions about what we talked about today, I would love to talk with you. As a matter of fact, Shawn, I dropped a link in your chat if you want to share that with our audience today. If they want to schedule a call with me, they can. Happy to talk with them if they have questions about CBF or ISSA. I'm always here to help. And but really, so grateful to know you, and you've been an inspiration to all of us in the cleaning industry, and your leadership has been outstanding, helping so many business owners achieve their dreams. We don't know how to do everything ourselves, so it's finding experts like you, Shawn, that really help cleaning business owners do these things in their business. And so grateful for you to have me here to share. I could talk with you about culture all day, man.
I know. We'll have to get together and do something on it, and maybe do a little whatever, a live or a webinar or something on it.
Yeah.
Because it is a passionate thing, and it's we are going to talk all about it if I don't shut up, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole ego and perception thing, I think, that goes along with leadership and some things like that. So maybe we can do something down the road, get through the busy season here, and maybe this summer or something, get together and do something.
That'd be great.
Jeannie, thank you so much for hopping on. We're going to post all kinds of things, and I think we posted a couple things already. Everybody, I've got a high school buddy that'll be on, I think, next week, I believe Tuesday, Matt Russell, and we're going to talk about some things you can do for your employees, some different benefits that you might not know about, some tax credits that you can get, and some things like that. And CBF Live's coming up in about a week and a half or so. So make sure you get your ticket, get your discounted ticket from what we're posting here. And everybody, we'll see you at 4 p.m. It'll be regular time next week, 4 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday. Everybody, thank you so much for listening or watching, or both. Have a good day, and God bless.
Thank you.